bedhead.
Jake, your mom's waving to you, dude. Wave back.
Oh, Jake, come
Wave back. She's got the Naruto thing on, dude.
He's like,
Wait,
my Jake's gonna be a Hokage someday.
Hakuo exhausted, more damage poured into the EnVy line. It's gonna be Alex exploded. Apollo into the fight, looking to find the damage on the 6A, 3 dead on each side. He looking to do anything he can. Alex eats into the back line, 6A destroyed. Afro Moo gonna be melted out too. He exhausted, unstoppable though. Grab the kill onto Hakuo. Focus fire finding so much. 6A still alive. GA is gonna be popped. He in full retreat, but Alex H is on the hunt. One more auto attack takes him. Darshan's gonna be number 2. One more will get it. There you go, Hakuo.
Watch me.
Everyone 3.
Guys, I can turn right here. Go.
Yeah. Down. Got Koki.
Okay. Nice. I ran 3.
Here you go.
Yeah.
I slowed it.
1. I'm gonna get Tyra.
Go. You can go. Hey, we get in.
Yeah.
It's gonna be turned and burned. The exhaust down, the bullet time out. Stay alive! CLG! Welcome back to our coverage of the North American LCS. The teams are getting set for Game 2 between CLG and EnVy.
And I love that clip. You're freaking out. I'm like, all right, looking at the game. It's the difference. It's like the play-by-play hypecaster, and I'm like, all right, well, don't get anything wrong here. What are they doing? It's like just so focused on the game.
You got to just lose yourself in it, man.
Well, that's the thing. I'm losing myself in the game.
Yeah, so you're losing yourself is just zoning in and calculating like all these different numbers and all this different strategy and stuff. My losing myself is just going crazy and having a great time with wild, vivid hand movements. So
it's so much fun. I love it.
It's a blast. I absolutely enjoy it. And that last game was just so all over the place from both teams. There was so much to watch. There were so many different fights, so many different turnarounds.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what is happening? Is this fight going to go one way or the other? So you actually couldn't blink in this game, or else you were going to lose who was going to get a lead here. And that's what happened is Seraph, he blinked, CLG got into his jungle, and then he ended up getting taken out, and that cost multiple GAs. And that shot call right there, we saw a good one from Seraph to get them into the game with the Baron afterwards, and then we saw a really bad one where he was split pushing, got caught, then they tried to make a play, and the team wasn't on the same page.
For what we were working with, though, for what EnVy was working with, I should say, with a substitute player in the mid lane and their star mid laner playing in the jungle instead, this team really gave CLG a run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not what you would expect since CLG are returning with all of their rosters, same coach, everything, and they've been working on that synergy. They even have Worlds experience underneath their belt,
right?
So they're a little bit fresher on that, whereas this team hasn't really even scrimmed with this roster, right? So familiarity with one another is very low on EnVy's side, but they do have the little caveat of you don't always know exactly what they're going to do. Sure, they might not know exactly what they're going to do, but it's harder to read them. And CLG did make a good move, though. They tried to punish the fact that Alex was in mid and that Ninja was in the jungle, because that Rengar did not get to play like most Rengars do, where they get to take over the game. Ninja had to play a little more defensive and had to watch out for wards all the time.
Ninja actually started building, after his initial warrior enchantment, he was pretty much full tank on that Rengar. He was a second part of the front line for EnVy, and I respect him for deciding to make that call, saying, hey, he might not be the most experienced Rengar player. The champion's still incredibly powerful. Let's put him on it, build defensively, and play safe. But we're into champion select for game number 2 now. It's going to be Malzahar banned away first and foremost by Counter Logic Gaming, as Team EnVy now going to be forced to ban away the OPs, taking out LeBlanc.
Yeah, we might see carry top laners this game, because Team EnVy will have to ban LeBlanc, Camille, and Rengar, because they didn't really play Rengar too well. We know Xmithie plays it. Also, Darshan plays Camille, and we know that. He's played it on stream. He's one of the few top laners who's actually been very vocal about how powerful she is, and we know he has experience on her, whereas not all top laners actually play her at all. That's banned in scrims all the time, and it's also banned in solo queue, so it's hard to get practice on this champion.
When pretty much everybody agrees that a champion is incredibly strong, it's likely going to be nerfed soon, sometimes you do see players just kind of push it off to the side, say, look, we know it's going to be banned 99% of the time. Let's just practice on the stuff we are going to get to play.
Yeah.
So you can't risk giving away Camille to somebody who is trained in the art of Camille, or you're going to be having a very, very rough game. EnVy realizes that. They take her off the board, and it's going to be Ryze and Elise removed by Counter Logic Gaming.
They know that Ninja is actually comfortable on Elise. It's a champion that he's very familiar with. There's the Rengar, Camille, and LeBlanc, so we may see the Kazakhs picked up first pick here if they want it for Darshan, or for Xmithie, sorry. And Ninja, on the other hand, may have to play something like Olaf or Lee Sin a little bit further down from the tier list if they do go for the Kazakhs. And Kazakhs and Lee Sin is a good matchup.
And like you talked about just a couple of moments ago, in game number 1, we saw Jace banned, we saw Fiora banned, we saw targeted bans toward these carries that Darshan likes to play. In this game, we're not going to be seeing those, but CLG still going to be starting off, locking in the Ashe again for Stixxay.
All right, so the Ashe comes through without any AD carry pinch at all. So Team EnVy, they can wait to take the Varus or take it now if they want to hide it, but the Zyra is what you would expect since the Malzahar is banned. First pick on blue side, quite surprising that they would take the Ashe and prioritize it that highly. It's actually quite odd, but there's the Lee Sin for Ninja.
Ninja going to be picking up that staple jungler, just one of the most known elements in all competitive League of Legends for I don't know how many seasons now, as Seraph goes ahead, grabs that Zyra, like we talked about last game, a top tier support right now, always going to be contested when it's up.
Yeah, Zyra, you have to pick Misfortune into it. So Counter Logic Gaming, Olaf into the Lee Sin instead of the Kha'Zix. So does Xmithie really play the Kha'Zix on a good level? Because the Olaf into Lee Sin matchup, Lee Sin favored, whereas the Kha'Zix into Lee Sin matchup is Kha'Zix favored in most people's minds. So it's a bit surprising that Xmithie would still go with that comfort, but they want to tank in the jungle, so that might mean they have a carry top laner on their minds. Right here, may take the Misfortune so that they have the counter to the Zyra and a good strong lane in the bot lane once again.
And that was a good move from Team EnVy, right? They put CLG in a spot where they're kind of forced to pick. Do you want Misfortune, or are you going to risk having some of Darshan's carry top laners banned away again? Misfortune is going to be the pick for these guys, really wanting to prioritize that good pick against the Zyra in the bottom lane, as Alex each now hovering the Varus to deal with that Ashe. And it's what you talked about earlier too. These 3 top tier 80 carries, you got to get them early because they're going to go fast.
Exactly. First round in terms of what people pick up, support, 80 carry, jungler, unless there's something really powerful on the table, or there's been a pinch in the bans, and there hasn't really been anything heavily pinched besides support with the Malzahar ban, and the jungle with 2 bans being thrown that way. But right now, if you don't pick your 80 carry as that 3rd slot for EnVy, the bans from Counter Logic Gaming would most likely be Varus and Jhin. So then you have no utility 80 carries left.
And you're going to be forced 1 tier lower, which of course just makes your entire composition, your entire draft, that much less effective. EnVy recognizes that. They do pick up the Varus for themselves, and they're going to be deciding to ban away Echo first and foremost here in phase number 2, respecting who he did with that in game number 1.
Now, Echo ban, sometimes you'll see the Syndra picked up when the Echo is off the table. So we'll see what ends up getting pinched here, because the Seraph could get the last pick. So if they're banning out Echo, we may see that first slot from Team EnVy be picked up as like a Syndra or something along those lines. And then the last one would be the counter pick for the top lane, because they are a little bit suspicious of Darshan right now, wanting to pick up some type of carry top laner.
Maokai is going to be taken off the board by CLG, though. They do not want to be dealing with that. Trying to just take out a little bit of the tanky options there in the top part of the map. Don't want to be dealing with Seraph on something that can just tank and tank and tank for days, although there's still going to be options.
Yeah, and the Aurelion Sol, sorry, not the counter pick, the target ban at Hu
Again.
People were like, how can you let him have this champion? But if you do pick Syndra here, Fizz is also considered a counter to it, so we'll see what Team EnVy go for, whether it's a top laner. If Nautilus gets banned out here, then you'd expect the Poppy to come through, so you don't want to completely pinch the top lane here if you are Counter Logic Gaming. But you may ban out the Syndra, they may ban out pretty much anything at this point that they want to.
Only a couple seconds left to make that clutch decision.
Ooh, okay.
And they're going to take Fiora off the table. Don't want to have to deal with carry top laners themselves either.
Yeah, since there's 2 tank top laners left, don't ban a tank top laner or else they take it. And then you have to play Fiora into it, and it kind of messes around with your composition. But, okay. So they don't go for this. They don't go for the Syndra at all. They go for the Corki here. And they think that that's going to be a really good mid lane pickup for them again, because they can run double exhaust. Interesting.
Corki, very, very popular over the course of the few games that we've seen so far in the 2017 spring split. We've seen quite a few different people playing him, quite a few different people getting some good mileage out of him. Stixxay, of course, going to be troll hovering the Warwick for now.
Always does.
Highly doubt we're going to actually see that ever turn into anything real, but maybe one day.
He's getting reworked one day.
Okay, one day. After the rework, maybe we'll get to see Stixxay's infamous troll pick turn into something for real. But for now, it's going to be Nautilus locked in by CLG, going to be picking that one up for Darshan, seeing if he can do as much work with it as Seraph did in the mid-game of game number 1.
Yeah, this is good for Counter Logic Gaming. They banned out the Fiora, they banned out the Maokai, and the Poppy into Nautilus matchup. People are kind of split on this one. Nautilus has a lot more potential to actually clear the wave early, but speaking of clearing waves early, Katarina suffers at that, but she'll get way better past level 3. It's like early game. When I say early game for Katarina, I just mean like first 5 minutes. After that, she's totally fine.
After that, she is going to be golden. Katarina, one of the reworked assassins. A lot of people have fun watching these champions. Maybe not as much fun playing against them personally, but when you get to see them on screen in the hands of a capable player, they can be just an absolute joy to watch and see what these players can do on them. As the final pick on the side of EnVy is going to be Jace for Seraph.
Love that pick up here for him. Jace hasn't been too successful so far in the NALCS. It's hard to play around a Jace top lane. It's much easier to play around having a tank top laner. And if Counterlogic Gaming get tanky enough, they can just run straight through. If EnVy's Seraph doesn't get off the ground, then it becomes a really, really difficult matchup to deal with. So Ninja will have to ward for him in the top lane, and he'll have to push in and punish the Nautilus because it is a counter matchup early on. But later, it becomes very difficult to actually punish that Nautilus to the extent that you would want to.
And look at the amount of poke power on EnVy's composition.
They kill
look at
turrets
how
fast.
much these guys have. You've got piercing arrows, you've got rocket barrages, you've got shock blasts, and then if anybody jumps on you, boom, Stranglethorn.
Yep, you have the counter. That's what something like SK Telecom ran at Worlds, where they ran a tankless composition with the Jace in the top lane, and they had the fact that they had the Zyra for the disengage. That was the key portion there, is that you can kind of have a substitute for tankiness in terms of excellent disengage power.
Frighteningly fluent team composition if they can get off to the kind of a start they're looking to get off to, bring this game up to a 1-1 score, and maybe, just maybe, take it to game 3. But of course, to do that, they got to take down CLG now in game number 2, because one more win and CLG is going to be taking the win today. We're on to Summoner's Rift for the second time. CLG heading out of the base. EnVy going to be doing the same, if we can see if that poke comp can stand a chance to come back and claim revenge.
Poke composition, you want to stay ahead of the game, you want to bait them sometimes into sieging you, and that's what I will say as well, is Counterlogic Gaming sieges kind of suck. You don't have much hard CC to actually lock somebody up for Afromu. You'd have to use the arrow from Stixxay, and then that's more of a pick instead of the actual like siege and tons of damage and like blow people up. But their wave clear is also not very good. So how do they get rid of the waves when they're the ones who are on the defensive?
That's true. If you look at the CLG team, in terms of hard CC, none on Xmithie, none on Afromu, none on Hui, an arrow on Stixxay. It's all about Darshan for setting things up for these guys. Sans that arrow.
Yeah, Nautilus, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's like second for the most CC in a kit behind Poppy.
He has 4 abilities that do CC. He's a regular CC machine, but when you've got 1 machine and 4 guys that are kind of along for the ride, puts a lot of responsibility on him.
A lot of responsibility on that top lane, especially when he's in a bad matchup too. So this is a lane that could get completely rolled over here, depending on how Ninja treats it. You want to ward for your carry top laner and allow him to push up because it gives him the pressure. This actually really close to leashing. All right, yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, don't drag it away any further. Leave it there.
All right, yeah.
Okay,
Professional players.
Take that. they know the exact amount they can push it, the limit that they can go to, and they reach that. Afromu and Hawkroad just trading blows back and forth. Your Keystone Mastery's on the bottom part of the screen there. Nothing that's really super crazy with Courage of the Colossus on that Nautilus.
The fervor for Olaf. This has been quite the debate where people are saying, what do you pick up on Olaf? Is it the fervor of battle? Do you take the Storm Raider Surge, the Thunderlords, or the Grasp? So because he can't make use of Courage of the Colossus, and it was actually kind of a step backwards for a lot of Olafs where Strength of the Ages was no longer a mastery, so they're missing out on a lot of HP. So people started kind of messing around, and we've seen experimentations here and there with it. But Fervor of Battle has been the most common one as of late because it gives him a lot of extra damage, and the fact that he makes great use of it with the attack speed when he's low.
Makes him very frightening in those duels, in those early skirmishes that Olaf is already very adept at. Speaking of early skirmishes, Seraph's just going to jump in there and do a lot of damage to Darshan very early, as the Jace lane's not exactly a super fun experience for some of these tanks.
Oh, it's really bad for Nautilus in particular as well, because you can just knock him around and it's very easy to jump on him and deal a lot of damage. And you constantly swap forms. There's really nothing the Nautilus can do about it, save for landing a hook on you. So you get shoved in, and then when you're shoved in, you can't really fight him because there's just too many minions.
Yeah, Darshan's got to deal with, what is this, 1.5 waves of minions right now, as Seraph is going to be poking him with shock blasts and auto attacks the entire time he's trying to farm. It's going to be a little bit of a rough life, but hopefully for Darshan and CLG's sake, he can do his best, keep up in terms of farm without just falling too crazily far behind, as Xmithie Gonna be working his way up towards this top part of the map, takes the Blast Cone Express.
Yeah, they know that there's a ward in the river, so Xmithy's going to come through, hug the right wall when he's going to gank.
Things coming out from EnVy. They know that Xmithy's probably hanging around the area. Xmithy trying to decide which way he wants to go around this, but he ends up just hanging around a little bit too long. Seraph's obviously very cautious here. Backing himself away, going to be walking right into the CLG jungler.
Nice.
Undertow doesn't find its mark, and now Seraph's going to return some damage onto him and get away scot-free.
Really, really well played there as well from Seraph, because previously, you push too far up, you get punished, and then you have to pull your mid laner up, and he's a little bit late. Ninja, on the other hand, going to use the Blast Cone to go over and try to avoid tri-brush wards, if there are any. And he actually was doing a little bit of counter jungling.
Stealing away what he can from Xmithy for the time being. Both of these mid laners, not exactly a juicy gank target for either one of the junglers. Both have plenty of mobility to get themselves out of any sticky situations that they might be finding themselves in. So Ninja just going to be heading back into friendly territory, farming up what he can as Xmithy going to be making a return trip here into top lane. Darshan looking to start things off. Undertows, where are they at? First blood, Xmithy.
Yeah, the Jace let the wave get pushed in on him. He didn't have Ninja in the area. That's the problem there. That's the difference between experienced junglers. As you can see, Xmithy hits level 4 off of his route, comes top lane, and he's completely fine, actually, quote-unquote, wasting his time. Top lane making a failed gank and then coming back. Ninja is actually a full level down behind him now because his route just isn't as efficient. He went to the bottom side of the map, cleared out the Krugs that were supposed to be Xmithy's, and then just spent a lot of time roaming around, hasn't even backed yet, walked all the way up across the map, did his Raptors, which takes a lot of time, instead of going top lane to help the lane that was being shoved in, and the fact that Seraph was being zoned from it. So it was actually quite an obvious gank that Ninja was not looking out for from the signs that were happening.
It's kind of opposite day right now in the jungle. Normally you expect Lee Sin to be the playmaker, Olaf to be farming it up, but instead, Xmithy deciding that he wants on the board and he is not going to be kept from it. As Apollo and Hawkwoe keep Stixxay and Afro who pushed up underneath the turret. Stixxay going to be taken very low. A little bit more damage would seal his fate. He's still got the heal though, but those flashing red health bars put Afro and Stixxay in a really bad spot.
Yep, and this is supposed to be a counter matchup as well. This is the exact same matchup from last game where they had the misfortune, but it's not the same start where the misfortune got off the ground and was able to just constantly poke out the enemy Zyra and force them to back rather early and spend a potion.
Xmithy and Ninja going to be finding each other here in the top part of the river. Xmithy's first axe not going to hit its mark, so Ninja is free to have that movement speed to dash himself away to safety over the wall and not even take any sort of damage for his troubles, as Xmithy is just setting up his tent here in the top lane.
And this is the lane you want to pay attention to as well. You don't have gank assistance in the mid, and it's a Corki, so they have double exhaust in the composition, so getting the Katarina fed could get shut down quite quickly, but if you get your tank ahead, this is a composition that has no tank on it on EnVy's side, so if your tank can soak all of this damage and do well, then you'll be able to actually persevere through a lot of these fights and extend them out to the point where EnVy doesn't want these fights to go long, because the longer they go, harder it is to take down Darshan, and then Huhi has time to clean up afterwards.
Gonna be a 2v2 topside. Problem is, Ninja's only level 4, looking to go right back in onto him. Seraph walking himself out. Fight's gonna be disengaged relatively painlessly for how explosive that looked.
Fight might happen right here.
Huhi going in all the way. Exhausted though. Alex Each just gonna stand and fight. Hex Drinker keeping him alive, but Huhi has still got the damage.
Huhi with the outplay there, even through the exhaust, the Katarina just uses the ultimate and does so much damage with it to Alex Each. He tries to stand there saying, my Gatling gun will out-damage your ultimate. That's not how that works.
Nope, Huhi brought a knife to a gunfight and he won it. He won it. He just stood there, took him down man fighting mode, threw a Hex Drinker too.
Yeah.
That's how you make a statement. There it is again.
So, confirmed you can win a gunfight with a knife if you're right up in the guy's face, stab him right in the heart too. And here, flashes, but also uses the Shumpo there. I think he was expecting another rocket to come out. It was just an auto attack, so Huhi kind of covering his bases there with the flash.
Even though it wasn't necessary, the idea behind it means he was going for that outplay. He had it in mind from start to finish. It paid off for him. CS is still even between these two, so he should have a decent gold advantage for himself now with the bonus gold from that kill. And that also takes CLG up to about a 500 or 600 gold lead just 8 minutes in.
Yep. Big outplay there on the solo kill, loses pressure in the lane. And I was talking about how Katarina, when I say she's weak early, I just mean levels 1 through 3. She's very punishable, but nobody really punishes at that time. You can get like cheesy ganks and stuff, but after that,
here comes your plays, bottom lane. CLG looking to get him again. Hakuo going to be taken low. Aframu buying as much time as he can from the turret shots. Xmithie so incredibly close to death. Stixxay pops the heel, flashes the rocket, gets away alive. CLG 4-0.
perfect play from them. They'll get this bottom turret, and they'll get it a little bit faster than the J-Swill in the top lane. So Darshan knew that because they got the kill earlier, the TP was down from Seraph. He had to TP back to the lane. They used the fact they had that advantage to make a 4-5-man play on the bottom.
And that was beautiful turret aggro juggling from CLG. 3 different people walking away with one more shot that would have killed him. Seraph still trying to get his opportunity to take down this turret here in the top side, but turret first blood has already gone CLG's way. That 500 gold lead I was talking about 60 seconds ago, all of a sudden that's ballooned to 2.5K. Here's the replay.
Yep, Lee Sin a little bit behind on the route, a little bit shorter distance for Xmithie to travel. They just blow up Hakuo off of that arrow. And almost kills Xmithie. Oh, man. The Varus arrow almost picking up kills there. The rocket almost picking up kills there as well. So close for EnVy to pick up even more. But CLG get everything. When I say even more, correction, they got nothing.
Yeah, it was a story of close, but no dice. EnVy, that's such a heartbreaker every time that happens. So many spells coming so close to grabbing you a kill, but you just don't end up getting anything instead. Aframu now pushing up into enemy territory, throwing down vision left, right, and center, just trying to keep an eye on these guys wherever they're going to be. Because now that they've claimed turret first blood, it's time for the CLG rotation machine to kick into full gear.
Yep, and they want to keep Alex Each versus Huhi in the mid lane, so they don't actually want to pull him up just yet, because Alex is 2 levels down at the moment, and Huhi just has a large advantage in this lane, especially in terms of items. He has burst and he has stacks, so Huhi can now roam with complete agency, and he can also just take over this mid lane. So instead of bringing your, what we had seen previously, where you kill the bottom turret, then you bring your AD carry and support mid, because they don't have a TP mid laner anymore that can go to the side lane, you keep your mid laner mid, and you just go top.
Alex Each clearing away some waves, staying as safe as he can the whole time he's doing it. Cinder Hulk with the challenging smite completed for Xmithie. While over on Ninja's side, going for the Tracker's Knife instead for a little bit of extra vision control there in the jungle as he moves around. Warrior Enchantment not yet completed. Although he's out farming his opponent, it's Xmithie, the one who's contributed to 3 different kills so far, as the arrow top side makes a nice field goal.
Throwing him out on cooldown, attempting to actually land them and pick up kills, because it did previously. Ninja, though, in the jungle,
trying to make some kind of a play onto Aframu. He's going to be taking a defensive flash out. Xmithie popping the Ragnarok, getting himself away as well. Stranglethorn's not going to be finding anyone so far. Bullet time! Zoning away the follow-up, but Xmithie is still so low. Damage comes through, and Apollo is going to be taking
the Katarina?
EnVy had more people in the fight so far, but Seraph's going to be popped. Huhi exhausted and destroyed. EnVy 2 for 1.
And they're going to try to actually push them in a little bit further here. Darshan has been walking the whole way up, and now he's just going to shove in the mid lane, try to get a little bit more damage on this turret and a little bit more priority. But as soon as they see that, it's like Darshan doesn't have teleport. You can land spells here. You can actually get kills. Aframu.
Oh, this is bad positioning for CLG. 2 more in the dirt. EnVy making plays.
Yep, that is just a lack of coordination, because Darshan went back to middle. He shows EnVy know they have a numbers advantage on this part of the map, and then they just make a play. So either CLG's bottom lane needed to pull back, or Darshan needed to go top and tell them that he was doing that.
And watch CLG start this fight in this weekend.
Starts off with EnVy getting a little bit punished for Ninja's positioning. Good ultimate there as well from Hakuo, but Xmithie has to run away. Seraph with the teleport. Flashes out of the bullet time, and the exhaust is used on him as well. So Xmithie afterwards got covered by a Q there too. So if he had backed up, Lee Sin would have just hit him with a Q there. Huhi comes in, picks up the kill, and finalizes it. But the kickback from Ninja, hadn't used the Dragon's Rage previously, was saving it for when the Katarina comes in to interrupt the ultimate. And this is just too far forward, and they didn't think this would happen. The arrow chunks out Stixxay, and then Ninja, easy Q, easy pickup, and then the exhaust onto Stixxay there. Might have been unnecessary, but Stixxay does hold his heal.
And you know, you talked about it in Champion Select for game number 1, but when you're running this Corki and you've got the double exhausts, especially versus something like a Katarina, it just feels so good.
Yep, we've seen this before as well, where they've run exhaust. I believe it was against Bjergsen's Katarina in TSM C9. They actually ran double exhaust against it. So when there's a Katarina in the game, double exhaust is king.
Darshan gonna be caught out. Ninja and Seraph trying to burn him down if they can. Flash over the wall to the skies, not finding the damage. Darshan trying to keep Ninja slowed, goes back and tries to stop the resonating strike. Instead does it too early. Stixxay is gonna be bursted. Apollo! One more auto attack, he's got it. Afro Moon now in full retreat. 1 versus 2 is not a situation he's gonna have any sort of fun in. Piercing Arrow won't find the mark. Who needs a double kill for the AD carry from EnVy?
That's a 2-on-2 as well, and then EnVy with the pick. The Siege is a bait there. They end up getting them with the Chain of Corruption, and Stixxay, he can't do anything at that point. Don't believe he had Arrow back up just yet, but still Apollo just flashes forward, and Hakuo's ultimate to cover, to make sure that there isn't a counter available, and Afromu can't use bullet time when he's on top of it. It gets instantly interrupted.
And you know it's happening earlier than it did last game, but it's still a similar kind of motion, a similar kind of momentum, where CLG starts off strong and then EnVy takes over. Here's what happened to Darshan bottom side against Ninja and Seraph.
Darshan just too far forward. He's pulling a Seraph here, where he's just way too far out. No Blast Cone available. I know the plant, it's sprouting. You're waiting for it, but it's not there just yet. A little correction here, because Stixxay does have Arrow, so Apollo flashes forward. Actually, he got him. Okay, so what actually happened there was Apollo flashed the E from Ashe. He threw out an E on the Project Ashe. It looks like
the arrow.
A little bit like the arrow in point
Not as
blank.
much as it used to.
So he got him. He's like, all right, blow your flash for my E. So he'll have the arrow up next time, possibly for a pick onto Apollo if they want it.
The mind games tossing out the hot shot.
May have been a misclick as well, who knows?
Who knows? We're gonna call it a mind game. We're gonna assume that that was the plan all along. Arrow comes down, Hakuo gonna be sunned up, Afromu taken down. Rampage for Apollo, and Smithy and Stixxay looking to make something happen. Stixxay killed instantly. Darshan makes his way into the fight, but what is he going to do? Who he wants to come in and clean these guys up if he can. Darshan gonna be soaking the turret aggro, trying to provide some time. Ninja gonna be bursting a little bit more. He's got the reset. Darshan drop. Huhi right back into the fight. Huhi making more plays. Double kill from mid laner. And Smithy making more damage. Here comes Alex. Package into the fight. 4 dead. EnVy, they've got themselves a 3 for 4.
And EnVy take the lead again, and now they have priority on top and bottom. Big plays there, back and forth. Huhi tries to come up as a hero. He gets some kills on the Katarina, gets a little bit more for that Gunblade, but still, they're gonna lose this bottom turret, and that's gonna be more gold falling over to Alex and Apollo, who's been playing out of his mind.
EnVy not only manages to get a slight advantage in that team fight, they take the bottom lane turret, go up 2-1 in that count, and bring this gold lead up to 3,500.
Yep, so EnVy now in a great position. Catch onto Afromu, who then takes turret aggro. Gets picked off there by Apollo. The exhausts are now down, so when the Katarina comes in, they don't have one available for her. Hakuo blew it previously there. So when the Katarina is in there, no Corki, no exhaust from the Zyra. Oh, hey! Okay.
Now another fight's gonna be happening. Afromu just poof,
Yep.
he's gone. Adios.
Well, Trinity Force completed as well, so it's a lot of damage. And the Misfortune support, she doesn't build tanky, she doesn't have any CC, so it's just full damage. If she gets caught out, which Afromu has been getting caught out quite a bit this game, it just puts her so far behind. 2 levels down behind Hakuo, and this bottom lane of CLG is flailing about in a matchup that got some attention and was a little bit of a counter matchup.
Last game, I talked about Stixxay being 3-0-4 on the Ashe. This time around, 0-3-3, his support 0-4-2. The bottom lane from CLG just hemorrhaging at this point.
EnVy able to take advantage of that because the bottom turret went down very early on, and then CLG rotated to the top side of the map. They have yet to get EnVy's top turret, whereas EnVy have now not equalized the turret count, but actually have gotten both side lane turrets. So they can focus on mid and get Drake control.
EnVy looking for Drake #1. They've got it very, very easily for themselves. It's going to be a Cloud Drake, giving them that out-of-combat movement speed to rotate around a little bit more effectively as CLG sticks around mid, looking to take down this tier 1. But EnVy's made their way into the fight now. Do they want it? Oh, it looks like it's going to be Hakuo caught out. The arrow misses, though. Darshan going to be bursted. Apollo grabbing the kill. Ninja looking to make more happen. He's going to be kicked. The damage comes through. The burst is there. Seraph's got him. 3 for 0.
Seraph with a flash in, but that was the kickback from Ninja to set it up. He made sure that Huhi was picked off and thrown into the team, and that Katarina couldn't run rampant.
EnVy with another fight win. Now going to be looking for another after-the-fact prize. They take the tier 1 in mid lane. They go up to a 3-1 turret advantage, a 5,500 gold lead, and this team looks strong in game 2.
Yeah, explosive there. The fact that they were able to counter and kind of get rid of the fact that Alex had been solo killed by Huhi rather early on and cover that up and just play around the map and abuse Seraph, but also Ninja on this Lee Sin. I was expecting a Kha'Zix to come out. I wasn't expecting the Lee Sin to come out because the Olaf, well, for the fact that the Kha'Zix could be played into it would be really good, but Ninja seems comfortable on, so kick flash there to throw Huhi into the team, and Seraph with the follow-up afterwards also gets a slow on Aphromoo there, I believe, so he's able to be picked up afterwards by Apollo.
CLG has got to focus in right now and pick up the pieces if they want to stop this EnVy advantage from becoming bigger and bigger. Because right now, EnVy has just made play after play after play after play. Nothing's really gone wrong for him in a while, and you can see that lead building up in the gold advantage. Baron's going to be live in about 30 seconds, so if EnVy can keep winning fights like this, if they have another very pronounced victory, very decisive victory, Baron could be what they take.
Yeah, especially if you fight right around it as well, which is what happened. And looking at the items, the Lord Dominic's Regards, second item for Seraph, is really unusual. You'll typically see a damage item, and also the fact that Seraph has the Black Cleaver. The Lord Dominic's Regards gives you bonus damage based on how much HP up to 500 the other guy has over you, whereas Darshan is at 2100 HP, and Seraph is at 2000 himself. So it's only 100 HP advantage for Darshan, so he's not actually getting a lot out of this Lord Dominic's Regards, which is why people will usually sit on Last Whisper for a while, wait until the guy has even more armor and even more health, to the point that it actually is worth buying that item.
Well, the armor pen stacking for Seraph, just, I guess, making sure that he's got everything in place for when the time does come. Right, he doesn't want to be caught off guard the next time Darshan buys a big HP item or armor item, or HP and armor item. He doesn't want to be that much more ineffective as EnVy's pushing up here in the mid lane. Aphromoo almost going to be killed instantly. The arrow comes through. Ninja going to be taken low. Huhi looking to make the burst instead. He is donezo. Smithy running away. Ninja drops. Darshan right back into the fight. Nice. 2 dead on CLG, but EnVy health bars also going to be taken dangerously low. 1 for 3, and the EnVy push continues.
Big ultimate there from Darshan. Knocked up 3 to 4 people, but it still didn't matter. Everybody else is dead. That should have been way earlier, and these tanks showing up to these fights a little bit late has been costing them. Darshan has not been on the same page as CLG, even in the previous game.
19-9 for EnVy. This is a 21-minute game with 28 kills in it, by the way. This game.
Your favorite game.
This is a play-by-play caster's kind of games, Irene. This is the kind of game you get to just go crazy about. And here's that team fight.
I'll just have my hands in my pockets or cross the whole time, you know, upset analyst. Still, Huhi jumps in, tries to kill Ninja. Ninja actually does get picked up here by stray arrows from 6A. Darshan goes in. Yep, that's a 3-man knock up there, but it's still not enough. Alex each turns that around, and the shot blast had come through and already killed Xmithy. So, sure, the CC lands, but there's no follow-up available.
CLG now down 7,000 gold. They didn't lose an inhibitor turret, though. That's one of the biggest things. Their base didn't have its integrity compromised, right? They still have that line they can defend behind. They still have that last sort of fallback in case EnVy continues taking control of the game like this. And right now, they're looking to specifically take control over the Baron pit. As you can see, a lot of wards being dropped in this northern part of the CLG jungle.
That's 7,000 gold lead right now for EnVy. So they have complete control of the Baron pit. They have the split push advantage with Seraph now going for some more lethality now that he's hit level 13 and he's hit break points there. This could be quite big in the bottom lane as he tries to bully out Darshan. And Darshan will have to back up to get control of the map. So EnVy are just covering at all the options. They have Baron control, starve it out for a few minutes. If Alex doesn't get caught or blown up here,
good thing Huhi has no CC.
Good. Yep, look at how much damage he actually does to the Nautilus because he's gone for this build. Nautilus has now actually purchased enough in terms of HP to make that Lord Dominic's Regards worth it. So, I was talking about it earlier. It's actually quite a good pickup there for Seraph because people will get the Last Whisper, then they'll be like, okay, well, let's get a different item. And then when the guy actually has the HP and the armor that it matters, they're like, I should have had Lord Dominic's Regards. Not because it was good then, because it would be good halfway between when I would be building another item. So it's actually really clever that he did that. That's kind of cool.
Seraph really thinking ahead here, building that itemization path. It's a giant middle finger to a tank saying, you know what? your items don't get to be effective. This is my game. We're playing how I want to play. And now the TP is going to be used, though. They're looking to make the fight on top of EnVy. Hakuo going to be caught out bullet time onto 2. Apollo's going to get run down. Who? He's got 1. Make it 2. Shutdown for Smithy. Alex each on the run. Seraph and Ninja still going to be hanging around. CLG wants and needs a Baron from this if they can. Looking to run down Seraph instead. Doesn't want to risk anything too crazy. Seraph getting himself back to the tier 1 in time, but it's unlikely he'll have any sort of a defense.
And Darshan with the great TP there to flank and actually get right on top of the AD carry. And the fact that there are wards there is a big oversight by EnVy. They should be sweeping. They should be actually just pushing up and making sure that there's nothing there. Using the scrying plan and all that, but
Seraph forced to flash. Ooh, still alive. Gets away somehow. He gets away from that. He's got to be happy about it. CLG is not, but they'll be picking up Drake number 1 for themselves. Drake number 2 overall, the first Ocean that's going to be spawning this game. And Infernal is coming up next. You saw that fireball on the wall the same way I did. That's the one the teams like to fight over too. And in a game that's already got 30 kills, I fully expect them to do so 6 minutes from now.
Oh yeah, and the fact that we also have supports that make a lot of use of it as well. We're not talking like, oh, you have a Thresh or something where the Infernal doesn't matter. It's like the Zyro's like, when there's an Infernal up, your support starts warding like crazy. You definitely want that.
Ninja getting himself caught out though. The dagger falls onto the ground and Huhi takes him out nice and clean.
Oh, can't run from that.
Mispositioning for Ninja, gets himself in a rough spot.
Lee Sin split push, not very effective. He's just trying to push up the waves and make sure that they had control and didn't lose too much of it. But the fact that he dies actually costs them even more if he hadn't shoved up the wave.
It's the pendulum, Zyrene. Both games. It's just, it can't stay in one person's control too long. It's got to swing back.
Is it the pendulum of throwing? Is that what this is?
Yes, the great throwing pendulum that swings back and forth and seals a team's fate. You've only got so much time to work with before it's your turn to throw, and the other team gets to take over. CLG, though, pushing up into enemy territory, 12-19. They're down in kills. They're down in turrets. They're down in gold.
Trying to make a play on
up
Alex.
in tempo. Alex each got to be careful. Afromu going to be caught out. Likely a death sentence for him. Seraph chasing him down. The auto attack seals his fate. Alex each going to be killed too. Ninja staying alive somehow. 6A looking to change that real quick. He on a killing spree, and CLG takes 2 for 1 across the map. Now they got to deal with the rest of EnVy. He's down to about 10% HP. Got to be careful on this one. Turret has fallen. Ooh. Darshan barely getting away from the shock blast. Seraph still looking to take him down if he can. Stixay forced to flash out. Darshan, the sacrificial lamb. And the rest of the team gonna go ahead and get on out.
And we're seeing Jace rise in popularity so quickly. He was very popular at Worlds, but over in Korea in the LCK, when everybody's playing Poppy, Maokai, and Nautilus, this champion with a Black Cleaver first, and the fact that he will build the Lord Dominic's Regards eventually, just does so much damage to these tanks that Darshan, with his items, it doesn't matter. He has boot, he has the boots, the Ninja Tabi, he also has the Sunfire, but he just melts. And that was a great arrow there, right after the Valkyrie too, to pick him up. And Ninja here, actually, the fact that he keeps fainting backwards and going back a little bit, the ward that he placed down there that he was trying to hop to, it looks like, wasn't really gonna help him out there, is blown up. And this, through the shield, through all the health, the crits as well coming through from Apollo. Now you have those crit builds for Varus ever since the passive change. People have been buying attack speed and crit on him. Not just using him as a poke bot. We're not seeing too many tiers. Aframu's like, get in there.
He is
I got
excited.
caught. That's the thing. That's the support that gets caught at the beginning. The misfortune's gone. Doesn't matter. He's calling the shots. When you're
still
dead,
telling
you
the
have
team.
the best lay of the land. You can see where they're going. That's Aframu stepping up as a shot caller, contributing when he's dead.
Even if your screen's black and white, it means you can still see what's going on in the game. You can still tell everybody else exactly what they need to be hearing. And right now, CLG needs to be hearing some kind of a plan to take over this game yet again. Down about 4,000 gold still right now. Next Drake's going to be Infernal, and Baron is, remember, still live.
Yep. And Huhi actually camping up in the top side, waiting for a pick here. Sauce available on Alex, but
There we go. Package gets him out safe.
It's him out safe. And that Aframu clip, that was actually quite beautiful because when I hear teams talk about, like, what do you do when you're feeding? It's like, I know that he subscribes to the mentality of, if you're 0-6, you're going to be the most useless support ever, so contribute in other ways. If you're 0-6-6 on a support, it's like, how am I going to help my team out when I'm feeding? I'm going to talk more. I'm going to give them more information. I'm going to tell them this guy's flash is down. So you're actually still helping the team. as opposed to helping them actually with in-game statistics and like stats and stuff. You're giving helpful tactics.
Hakuo just destroyed in this mid-game fight. Not really even a fight, just an immediate pick. Is Seraph and Darshan going to be 1v1ing? Darshan having to run all the way away.
Is EQ?
Not dealing with this very effectively in the 1v1, but Huhi is making his way down here into this fight. He's got the Banshee's Veil, not going to be disengaged immediately. There comes your damage. Shut down onto Seraph. Huhi doing a good job being all over this map.
Yeah, Huhi 10-4-2, doing an amazing job on this Katarina. The solo kill at the start, playing around the double exhaust, and he was getting kicked over and over again.
Oh, Afro move, making an exhaust to keep himself alive. Now Alex Each going to be finding himself in a bit of a tough spot. Ragnarok using 50 into the back line. Huhi looking to make the play. Mopping him up, mopping bucket at the ready. Got one. That's going to make 2, 3 dead on the side of EnVy. Alex Each barely getting himself out alive. Hakuo's back too, but Baron is on the menu for CLG.
Yep, because they killed the jungler and Ninja's down, the Baron definitely on the menu here for them. They don't have vision of it. They'd have to face check. And it's still dangerous with the Katarina.
He gets himself caught out. Stranglethorn's going to be thrown down as well. Hakuo just trying to do whatever he can, but he's not going to be anywhere close to this at all. Blue team, CLG, they take down the Baron for the first time this game and put themselves in a great spot for the next few minutes.
That in Counter Logic Gaming, it's even in gold, but they do have the Baron, like you said. So their Siege back online, but their Siege isn't that great. It's about the dive. They have the tank, they have the assassin. If they can actually pull that off, it'll be really good for them. The exhaust comes out right in time for Aphromoo to save himself from Ninja. And then Huhi comes through. The exhaust was used on Xmithie, so now they have nothing, and you can't escape this Katarina up right in their faces. And then Alex is going to have to burn the summoners actually get away.
That volley looked like it was right on the very edge of the cone, too. Like, that was just the tip that got him, man. EnVy, though.
That's all you need sometimes.
Now everything is back in control of CLG. Now they've got to play off the back foot. They've been the ones dishing it out for the past 10 minutes or so. Now they're the ones who have to take it instead. And we'll have to see how good they are in that defensive position. As CLG with their Baron buff going to be mounting up a split push. 3 people in the jungle right now. Stixxay pushing up the bottom lane along with Darshan. Still have 2 tier 2 turrets left to take before they reach that base.
Yeah, they're going to want to do some damage to these turrets, but it's more the priority of can you get them low? Can you start a fight without Huhi, get everybody about half HP, and then Huhi will join in and play cleanup duty. So that's the threat that they're having to play around here. It's not so much the threat of CLG have great wave control or wave clear.
Ooh, Stixxay, look at that health though, taken so low by a nice shock blast, and that's going to break the siege.
Yeah, they have to back off. Infernal Drake on the table. Stixxay rather low. This could be an Infernal Drake that you actually fight over as EnVy because they're healthy. They don't have mana on Apollo though, so he's going to have to back. So that's actually what's going to stop them from coming up there.
Stixxay vamping all the way back up to 100% HP off of that as well. That's the final Elemental Drake we're going to be seeing this game. A 2-to-1 count, CLG versus EnVy. Elder Drake's going to be live a little bit after 37 minutes. As Aphromoo, man, these Shock Blast sandwiches are hurting everybody as they catch them in the mouth over and over and over again. Seraph with the tuned-in accuracy this game. Huhi looking to grab the kill onto Ninja, doesn't quite find it. Ninja getting himself away with that patented Lee Sin mobility as the bottom lane tier 2 again going to be suffering pressure from CLG, and they got it this time.
And Seraph has about 300 attack damage right now. He's not one of the people who has Infernal. He's doing a lot, but the question is, can the team actually follow up on that? He's 70 CS up. He's doing a great job in the top lane, but the Huhi on this Katarina is just such a big threat to this tankless composition that has disengaged, but the Katarina is just all over the place now with the rework.
Luden's Echo, Hextech Gunblade, Banshee's Veil working now on Azonia's Hourglass, and that's going to be huge. If he can go in and then drop that aggro, reset City.
That's all he has to do is just get in, deal some damage, and then sometimes it'll be the follow-up where they're already half HP, and if you can use the Zonias, you have to be at the ready, pay attention to so many things at once, wait for the Katarina to come out, pay attention to where she might shumpo to, but also who else is there who's dealing damage, because you might get down to half HP during that Zonias, and then you're the next target for the Katarina.
Really tough situation to find yourself put into, but it's going to be reality now as CLG has picked up that Hourglass with their mid laner. They got Guardian Angels on both top lane and jungle. Guardian Angel also up and running on Ninja for the time being. Mauve, Malmortius, and Rapid Fire Cannon both now completed on Alex each as well. He's had those for a little while. You can see the BF sword in his inventory that he's also working towards his next big attack damage item with. 6, 2, and 3, putting a lot of damage into Darshan, who's walking away, just absorbing all of it. GA is going to be popped. Arrow on the Ninja. Hoo-hee! Bullet time comes out. 2 Guardian Angels going to be popped, 1 on each side. McSmithy just kind of runs back in, absorbs damage from the turret, and gets himself killed. Going to be walking away. GA brings him right back to life. It's going to be 2 GAs for 1 GA and a turret.
Yeah, but that turret goes down, and that actually gives a little bit more gold over to CounterLogic Gaming here. 1,000 gold up for themselves, where it was dead even right after the Baron had worn off. And now, everybody kind of playing back, resetting, reset the map. EnVy have to place wards inside their own jungle, whereas CounterLogic Gaming get to have this line that's past the halfway point, even though they only have 1 tier 2 turret.
CounterLogic Gaming slowly creeping into EnVy territory, further and further, just clawing their way up there, taking as much as they can along the way. The items I was kind of talking about earlier between the mid laners, you're also seeing a lot of money starting to flow into the 80 carry coffers. Infinity Edge, Runeance Hurricane, Rapid Fire, all done for Stixxay, Essence Reaver, LDR, Phantom Dancer, and a Hex Drinker done for Apollo. Even though it's not going to stop a lot, he's still looking to kind of soften the blows from that Hoo-Hee all-in assassination.
Yep, little,
Not minion used. Apollo trying to get himself away. Hoo-Hee really scaring the bejesus out of Hakuo there. Starts to channel the ultimate, if only for a split second. Takes him down to about half HP with that burst. As now Smithy going to be running away with the blast cone yet again. CLG may not be finding a way to actually put a lot of damage into these turrets, but they're keeping EnVy stuck up in the base.
Yep. Now this wave gets cleared out, and this is the issue, is that how do you actually deal with this? Now you have to pull EnVy out of their base, but they're not going to go too far unless they can pick Stixxay. And that'll be Seraph's job, but Hoo-Hee exhausted. Oh, the Zhonya's done so good!
That was a beautiful Zhonya's Hours Class. Stixxay's going to be killed first, though. Apollo going to be run down by Xmithy. Seraph falls, Apollo falls, Xmithy falls. Shutdown good for Alex Each. Ninja hopping right back over the wall. 2 for 2.
And Darshan taking a little bit more damage.
Darshan got Alex. Oh my God, he's gone fishing and he's caught a big one. Shutdown good for Hoo-Hee. Going to be picking up the double. CLG, this is your chance to shatter this base.
There's been so much criticism of Hoo-Hee and his play previously where people are like, is he mechanically even good? You can't question it when he's on this Katarina or that Echo and he's outplaying people. That was just a stroke of genius there to go in. Knew that he would instantly get exhausted because that is the job that Alex Each had, but that will exhaust. Just put it on the Katarina, make sure she can't do anything. Boom, Zhonya's instantly makes sure that it is worth nothing and then resets the fight.
And now they rotate right down to bottom lane. They take down that turret as well. Poor Ninja's left alive, but all he can do is just stand there and look on as CLG says, you're gonna watch it, you're gonna like it. This is our inhibitor. See ya.
So yeah, whether they like it or not, right here, Seraph gets arrowed, ultimate onto him as well, and Hoo-Hee with the brilliant resets there, whereas Xmithy's just putting pressure on Apollo. Xmithy was just keeping people busy on the left side, away from Hoo-Hee, and then Hoo-Hee just gets to walk up, and Darshan with the great hook here. Alex Each walked up, and just that range is so far. That's through the Maw as well. That did so much damage. You see the Maw go off, but it's not helping Alex at all.
Just awesome stuff from CLG. Now they got that mid lane inhibitor down. They got another one exposed in the bottom lane. 1 inhibitor turret left to crack is the story for these guys as Baron is live. Elder Drake going to be live in about 10 seconds. A lot of different options for these guys.
With control of the map, CounterLogic Gaming can set traps. They can make picks with the Ashe. And the arrow is back up. Right now, Seraph is kind of just looking around on the bottom side, staying a little bit hidden, but he's not accomplishing much right now. They're just trying to get control of the mid lane here for EnVy, make sure that the Baron isn't being started. You look at all the control wards.
Alex Each, this is not the guy who can afford to be caught out right now. EnVy backing themselves away, likely fully aware that one more really bad fight is the end of this game and this series.
Yeah, Alex can play a little bit further up because he has the package, those golden missiles underneath him on the arcade skin. So he's sure that the Ninja caught though.
Gets himself away. Lee Sin's still mobile.
Yep.
EnVy's still fine. But man, these are a lot of nail biters.
Yeah, and now this bush right here is just going to be It's going to be everything. Like, you have to face deck if you're EnVy. Ninja gets caught.
Oh, Ninja gonna be jumped on Chain of Corruption, not finding anyone. Huhi with a good sidestep onto that. Seraph's gonna be the target, has to flash over the wall, was gonna be isolated. Arrow over the wall too. Alex Each is caught. Tries to get himself away, but Huhi is shut down. Afromu is as well. Stixay looking to make a move. Can't do it. 1 for 3. CLG's top laner trying to make the hero plays. Can't find it. Undertow is no good. Darshan with GA. A double kill onto Hakuo. Seraph and Ninja escaping a 3 for 3. Darshan lumbering and stomping towards his opponents.
How is that going even? That is insane. That started off with Huhi getting picked off, Alex having to completely recover from a bad position in the fight, and then it just goes 3 for 3, whereas CLG, now that tank is online. I was talking at the very beginning of the game, using a tankless composition like EnVy, you have to watch out for the non-list. It's an inevitability if the game goes on long enough that it becomes so tanky to make extended fights. And that's exactly what happens here. Seraph flashes and hits Alex. Arrow on him afterwards. Xmithy at half HP rushes in to try and deal damage here, but then Alex gets away a bit. Stixay starts walking around, flashes in, but Huhi's already down because he tried to leap in and just got picked off. And then Xmithy decides not to take any more damage. Darshan 1v3ing here with the Guardian Angel. Smithy's just trying to buy some time, and Hakuo has to walk over there. Not sure what possessed him to do that, but there you golf clap.
Yeah,
you know,
he knows.
last time he was hyped. This time he's like, good job, boys, good job.
Sometimes you just gotta keep it a little bit classy.
Yeah. It's like, no need to get hyped. We're in control. And CounterLogic Gaming, they do have a bit of control right now over this game. The Thornmail coming through for Darshan. Perfect item here against the composition that really only has the Zyra, a little bit of that % HP damage from Apollo that will be magic, and then Corki damage on top of that. So it's not like a full AP burst mage. You have to watch out for the Zyra, and if Hakuo gets picked off because he's so squishy and they have the tools to do so, then this tank is very hard to kill.
40 minutes in, after 51 kills, by the way, this game is less than 2,000 gold apart. That's how blow for blow, punch for punch these two have been going the entire time. Shock Blast not going to find its mark onto Xmithy. EnVy feeling confident enough to be pushed out into about midfield as Darshan is on the front line and just does not care even one iota about the damage heading towards him right now. He does have to be a little bit concerned, though, if he bites off too much, because GA is no longer available.
Yeah, Guardian Angel down about half HP. Oh, ended up hitting the Baron there, the Runaan's Hurricane. He's trying to kill the ward. Right now, it's a push and pull between mid lane control.
Oh my goodness, a beautiful arrow! Alex Each gonna be stunned up. Huhi, the Zonius keeps him alive, but for how long? A nice Shunpo out. Alex is done. Seraph is done. CLG with a double kill on the jungler. They'll lose Huhi. Apollo has got to get out alive from this. Darshan wants to find him yet again if he can. Dredge line will not be there. Flash not available either. 2 inhibitors are available here if nothing else. CLG should be able to grab both of these and put their opponent's base in a really compromised spot. They've got the minions pushing up. The question is, do they want to stick around for it? Looks like the answer is going to be no. They head on out.
Yeah, they don't have to stick around for it when you have both those inhibitors down and they're the furthest ones away from Baron. You're in a great spot to just sit at Baron, let the super minions do their thing, and then make sure that you can pick it up eventually, or they start losing their base and losing turrets.
CLG reading exactly what you're setting down, looking towards that Baron, realizing they've got so much pressure flowing in on the other end of the map. Once Huhi comes back up here in about 10 seconds, they'll be in a great place to make something happen. Hakuo going to be forced to flash there. The dredge line threatening a certain death if it connects. Darshan is just so beefy right now.
Another issue that this composition from EnVy runs into is it's hard for them to kill a super minion. Super minions take extra damage from magic damage, and they don't have a mid lane mage. So Seraph, it will take him a little bit to actually get through everything, considering he doesn't have much AoE. He'll have to like jump in with his Q and W in his melee form and his hammer form. Whereas Ninja trying to at least get vision of this area as they do work on these mid lane and bottom waves. It'll be a slow shove, whereas CounterLogic Gaming could really start this up at any time. If they get the teleport and back off.
No time like the present. CLG deciding to pull the trigger. Gotta be careful though. Ninja hanging around, looking to seal away
Katarina.
maybe. Who he's hanging around, waiting in the wings. If he can get on top of Apollo and Alex each, it's gonna be huge. Baron's tentacle is gonna be knocking CLG up into the air. He keeping himself safe from that Banshee fail for now. Seraph gonna be stunned up. He walking away from Alex. Package is ready to go. Darshan falling back. Bullet Time gonna be covering the escape. Aqua with some roots over the wall won't find their way onto Afromu, as CLG will be forced off the objective.
Half HP on them as well, but that's the thing is now EnVy can't really do anything with that. They can't take the Baron as a response because the super minions are pushing into the base. Seraph is gonna have to clear them out again. Another startup here.
CLG, they got it down to about half. More piercing arrows gonna be flying in. We talked about the poke potential on EnVy and how deadly that could be. He tossing daggers back and forth, trying to buy himself some time. Darshan, though, doesn't want to lose this Guardian Angel for free for the second time. Baron's going to be disengaged.
He's trying to get a flank, but EnVy are actually doing a really good job of trying to scout that out. They thought Katarina might be in the bottom left bush earlier. Alex throws a rocket in there. It doesn't hit anything, but then Hakuo starts to check it as well. And then they eventually find the Katarina and the jig's up. So then he goes all the way around. Has to go to the top side, but there's wards there.
He is full build now, by the way. Five items plus a boot fully completed. The Void Staff, the Hourglass, the Luden's Echo, the Gunblade. So much damage going to be coming out of this guy whenever he jumps into the mix. Yeah. The only other person on this map that is also full build that I'm noticing right now is you've got Apollo with all those items completed as well. Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, all that good stuff. And he's looking to make the moves on the Ninja. Takes him about halfway down, gets himself out instead. Doesn't want to be sticking around too long without the rest of the team there to provide that support.
And the thing with Apollo's build is a lot of Varus's will actually go for having the Runaan's Hurricane so they can apply the Blighted Quiver to multiple people and get a lot of team fight damage, but he has to buy a Maw of Malmortis, so he also misses out on 100% crit as well as AoE damage, so he's not as impactful as he could be, but he's just trying to survive, just like Huhi.
I mean, you're not going to have any impact if Huhi kills you in half of a second. That's what he's going to be keeping in mind as the Baron down about a quarter HP. Apollo going to be stunned up. They're going to make the plays if they can. Afromu dead first. Apollo looking to run. Alex each is done, but so is Stixay. He jumping right back in. Going to be able to grab the kill onto Apollo as well. Seraph trying to flee. Ninja blocking the path. Sonya's up. Seraph looking to turn it right back around.
Seraph!
He doesn't have the damage. Seraph! What in the world?
He just has to avoid the E from Nautilus, and then he's able to actually pick him up afterwards. They're going to chase him down.
EnVy turns this fight around. An ace from Jace.
And now they back. They're going to be able to pick up those super minions in their base, save their turrets, push them out, buy some more time, and this is going to be an even longer game than the last one.
My mind is just blown by what Seraph pulled off in that fight. Apollo gets caught.
Then Afromu gets blown up. Alex Each blows the exhaust really early. Stixay flashes forward to try and get on Apollo. Then Apollo gets taken out. Now there's no exhaust for Huhi. It's a 2 for 2 at the start. Seraph uses the QSS a little bit early there is what it looked like, but it's very hard to actually QSS and get away from those abilities. But then Huhi jumps in, uses the Zonias because Seraph now has so much damage, and the Maw goes off, so he's actually healing himself for a lot when he's actually attacking. So now, able to pick it up. Ninja, all right. It's just a support misfortune, right? Nothing to really...
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, and then Smoothie comes in and kaboom!
All right. So after that last fight, I legitimately don't know how this game is going to end.
Did you know how it was going to end before? Scripted?
No.
Got him!
No, but this game could go either way. After that last fight, for the longest time, it looked like it was in CLG's control, right? It looked like it was just a matter of time as EnVy was being worn down. But after that fight, EnVy has shown that they have just as much win potential as CLG has right now.
Yeah, when you have a tankless composition, I talk about a lot of the drawbacks from them because they're so evident and they're much harder to play around. And then on the other side of it though, but you have multiple threats. Now you have legitimately 4 threats on the side of EnVy, including Hakuo on support. And that's so many to deal with because you have an Ash Arrow, and that hits Apollo. Alex each maybe gets targeted by like the Nautilus ultimate or something, but there's still Seraph, there's still Hakuo, there's still so much damage that comes out here that you have to deal with all of them. Whereas CLG, it's kind of a 2-threat composition with the Misfortune kind of bringing up the rear, doing a lot of damage with the bullet time, but then not so much afterwards.
Plus, there's a Mauve Malmortius on Corki, on Varus, and on Jade. All three of these guys are ready for Huhi. And they're ready for Elder Drake. This is going to be a trade. Elder Drake for Baron.
Yep, Elder Drake that they can hope will actually allow Jace to come in from the top side flank, maybe get some poke with the fact that they have this Elder Dragon.
CLG falling back for now. Alex each has package. He can't just go in there suicide crazy, though. Got to be real careful about this one. One fight, either way, could end the game. Baron versus Elder Drake. It's not a souped-up Elder Drake. Only going to be a 90 true damage burn. Enchanted Cloud Drake. Who he's waiting. Alex each going to be stunned up. Mercurial Scimitar getting him out of trouble.
Yep, they have a decent amount of Mercurials now. 122 magic resistance for Alex each. Whereas Huhi's off on the left side, and I love that we have no idea where he is because EnVy don't have any idea where he is either.
EnVy just trying to be as aware of him as they can.
There he is.
Jumping back into the fight, looking to burn down Ninja, who gets himself back away over the wall as CLG is going to be enduring poke and poke and poke some more as EnVy sets up the siege. Look at all those plants. It just creates this impossible zone of control that CLG doesn't want to get anywhere close to.
Yep. Seraph is going to start split pushing a little bit and then come back, check for vision, and Huhi's off on the right side now. He's burying it up. He's trying to be unpredictable because he was off on the left side, so they warded that side when he leaped over. And now, playing over here.
Arrow fired off. Gonna be dodged away from. Aphromoo trying to escape. Gotta be careful though. Ninja looking to make kind of a move. Huhi 1v1 against Seraph. Popping the Zonias. Alone and stranded. Goodbye. Seraph unstoppable.
He tried to make a play there, got actually called out. Banshee's Veil is down. Then the kickback, the interruption. No way for Huhi to actually get out. And Seraph just had so much in terms of magic resistance.
Tragic news for CLG. 50 seconds on that death timer. Seraph and the rest of EnVy still stacked with that Elder Drake. Seeing what else they can do with it. Trying to make the push here into the mid lane. Stranglethorn's going to be used. Stixay with a beautiful kill onto Apollo. A double onto Hakuo. Dredgeline on the Ninja. Stixay. Damage just being funneled into these guys. Triple kill for the CLG AD carry. Darshan looking at it more. Arrow finds Alex each. Where's the follow-up? Volley? Arrow going over. What? Blast Cone, baby! 4 for Stixay.
And that's going to be the TP to the top lane from Darshan to try and get this Turks. Been pushing, they have the Baron buff. They're going to try to break this inhibitor, but they have 3 inhibitors available.
This could be the game.
50 seconds, this is huge.
This could be the game. 30 seconds on the bottom lane from EnVy. Darshan and Afro are here. Stixay and Xmithy going to be funneling in as well. Baron is still live. Seraph did a miracle before, but it's got to be an even greater one now. Nexus turret number 1, going to be taken low. Seraph jumped on, and ladies and gentlemen, CLG, after 51 minutes, will take game 2.
And CLG just barely again, 500 gold up. They win the game.
What a contest between these two. You know what? I wasn't lying earlier. I had no idea how that was going to end until the very... It looked... When Huhi got caught, it looked like it was curtains for CLG, but then Stixay decides it's time for him to pull the rabbit out of the hat and do some magic.
Yeah, the fact that he was landing all those arrows back to back did an amazing job. And I like that he was throwing them out on cooldown because his arrow cooldown was so short. It was 56 seconds to the point that every time he threw it, if they scimitared it on the 90-second cooldown, he'll be able to hit somebody who has a Mercurial Scimitar and it'll stun them that time and it will stick. So it was really, really well played from him on Ash.
CLG, we talked before this ever began, one of these teams is going to be feeling good afterwards, going into week number 2 on a 1-1 record. That's going to be CLG. If they lost to EnVy running a substitute roster, it would have been a real confidence rocker, so you know they're relieved to walk away with the victory here.
Yeah, you're relieved, but you still have to go. There's a lot of work to be done. That was a substitute roster.
Very true.
We won both games by ending plays that only put us up 500 gold after taking the 2 turrets on the Nexus. And so it was literally by the skin of their teeth. It was so close. It was ridiculous. And now, what's EnVy going to look like when they have their full roster in?
That's a question
good.
that EnVy and all their fans, I'm sure, are going to be very eager to answer as we go further into the into the spring 2017 split, because with that roster fully together, when they can get that kind of team cohesion more fluid, when they can actually work as a unit more effectively, we might be able to see the early advantages that we saw them taking, especially here in game number 2, actually blossom into a full-on victory.
Yeah, and you look at the end game screen as well. Seraph is up about 150 CS, so he's at 418 in that top lane. Not to be unexpected of a top lane carry Jace, but the split pushing, what does it look like when Ninja's in the mid lane, and what does it look like when they have Lyra in the jungle? Because we've been hearing great things from Seraph about how much he loves Lyra, and that Lyra is one of the best junglers he's ever played with. So in the future, EnVy might be a very good roster to actually look out for, which is a bit unexpected because they were kind of in the bottom half in most people's minds.
That's absolutely true. And one thing about Seraph, I've got to give it to the guy personally. His performance, especially on the back end of that game, he kept him afloat when it looked like they were just grasping at straws, right? He made those team fights work. Phenomenal job.
Yeah, and even in the first game, the Nautilus being about a level and a half up over his opponent in the top lane, he was able to make a kind of giving his team the winning play in terms of, hey, I'm going to use the Nautilus ultimate here. It's going to knock up 3 people in a row. And then they won that team fight that gave them the Baron in the first game. But then he also lost the game by being a little bit too far up in the bottom lane, being punished by CLG. And that's team cohesion as well, because they didn't have the vision coverage for it. They didn't really have the knowledge to actually be like, oh, CLG is down here. Let's warn him. Let's figure out what we're going to get if he does get caught.
And that was something that actually happened in the end of that first game. If you remembered looking at the mini-map, the rest of the team almost looked like they were going to trade an inhib for it at the start.
No wave.
And then they had no wave, so they're like, okay, all of a sudden let's just switch gears, and we'll go down there and try to save Seraph instead, and we know how that turned out.
Yeah, that was don't know what gear they went into. It kind of looked like neutral because they were sputtering out of control and weren't really going anywhere and just gave up Guardian Angels. It was really, really strange, but Counter Logic Gaming, they do come away with a victory here, so they're definitely happy for that.
And on that note, let's head down to the stage for a word with CLG's bot lane duo.
Thank you very much, guys. Great cast there. And I am with the duo lane of CLG, Stixay and Aframu. That was a pretty epic series, you two, but you managed to pull it out. How are you both feeling kind of after a pretty interesting 2-0?
Feeling pretty good. I'm glad we were actually able to win one game this week since we lost the first game, but yeah, it was not as expected, so, but it's all right. I'm feeling great.
As per usual, I have to ask, so Stixay, you did have some really strong performances on the Ashe. That blast cone play in particular was pretty inspired. Is that something that come up in practice, or was it just kind of a play you made in the moment?
Oh, I mean, there's a blast cone, and then there's a Corki, so I just took it and just killed him.
Nice. And I have to say, just in general, with Doublelift leaving, I know you were quite vocal about stepping up to be probably the best AD carry in North America. You guys have always been a very strong bottom lane. How do you think you guys stack up versus all the talent that's out there?
Well, I think me and Afro are definitely amongst like the top 3 bot lanes in NA, so hopefully we'll be able to prove that this split.
Oh, same.
And Afro, I have to ask just one last thing. You've always been a strong in-game leader. It feels like in those rough games, you're definitely there behind the team making the calls. What was kind of the end of those 2 games as far as shot calling goes for you?
It was actually pretty fun. We could have ended the game at around 30 minutes, but I didn't want to. So we were practicing our engages, team fighting the whole game, even though it worked really bad, but it's what we need to practice, so we took the game as that.
Fair enough. Well, thank you both for joining me, but we are going to go back to the Allen desk for a little bit more on the game.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Aframu.
Good to see his spirits up a little
exactly.
bit.
Having some fun with the fact that that was an extraordinarily long game. And for the fact that it was a 2-0, that series in general was very lengthy.
And especially the way these comps work, this is usually not the kind of game that goes super late. We have EnVy taking a very damage-heavy poke comp, CLG picking a pretty dive-heavy comp with Nautilus, Cat, and Olaf, with Ashe being able to start off. So usually these games are very, very explosive in favor of the, especially early game, the poke comp that EnVy had.
Right, I think that's kind of the key here. We had 2 very distinct team compositions that match up in a very specific way. If the poke early game composition can get out to a decent lead, they can kind of just steamroll as long as they play well, right? They got to play smart and methodical from that point. But if you do happen to reach that 35-plus minute mark where the more traditional team fighting, 2 tank, 3 backliners comp gets to an even gold value or just that 3-4 item mark, it can go completely in the other direction. So now what we want to do is we're going to run through a whole bunch of this game, and we're going to kind of walk our way through how these two team comps ultimately matched up.
Right, so you would think that EnVy has the superior laners. They should grab the advantage early, but there was a kill in the top side, there was a solo kill in mid lane, and now there's a huge dive going on in favor of CLG, going to pick up 2 more kills under the turret, which ultimately leaves them able to take the bottom turret. So you think, great, this is going to be an amazing game for CLG. They're supposed to lose early and they're winning.
Yeah, this is that was at level 5, level 6, right? So already the team that is supposed to excel late is ahead early.
Right, so you think that's terrible. CLG flips their bot lane to the top side to try and keep extending this lead. They're down TP advantage and force really, really hard onto EnVy, who are able to turn around and get a bunch of kills back in their favor. This is after, of course, 6A and Aframu already blew their ultimates, so they had almost no chance of winning this fight. Huhi goes in for a cleanup kill, overextends, gets killed back, and then 6A and Aframu, for some reason,
right? Yeah,
God knows why.
We're at a 2-for-1 right now, but this move here, this decision is very suspect. When you just fought the entire enemy team on the top side of the map to push up without your summoners, you're absolutely going to give over a couple more kills.
And this is kind of similar to what we saw in the TL game, where after a play goes bad, they still are sticking around. Now, EnVy, one thing to their credit is they do seem to have good early game plays. And this is an example of it where they get the lead back after that misstep by CLG, and they're going to get a really clean engage here from Ninja, going onto Huhi and putting him back into the team of EnVy, who's gonna, kill Huhi and be able to snowball for a 3-for-0.
Right.
And things, once again, starting to look good.
Yeah, and just for context, that play there was kind of right before that 20-minute mark. So still early enough in the game where this EnVy team composition can excel in terms of damage against these tanks. But here we have CLG and the prowess of, or the effectiveness rather, of a tank TPing in behind the enemy team.
Right, and that's the concern that you have with the two team comps. EnVy should have that lead early. They were able to grab it back from CLG, but then once they overextend a little bit in the jungle, get a TP flank off by the Nautilus, it goes horribly wrong for EnVy. But then the game turned into a total fiesta.
Right, yeah. If you had asked me, if you had just shown me those clips there, I think both of us would have said, okay, after that, my assumption is that CLG closes out the game in probably the next 15 or so minutes playing it smartly. Well, that's not the case. It goes another 16 minutes, cresting that 50-minute mark. And, of course, as we mentioned, Aframu was in a bit of jest around that, but it's still highlighting some issues for CLG around what used to be very crisp team play. That was the element of CLG that was always the constant, was that they played the map well.
Yeah, and it's just so strange to see this kind of flipping around. They're supposed to be the team coming in that should be one of the most consistent teams. They're struggling again. It happened a little bit in summer last split where despite, keeping their whole team together after a good MSI run, they struggled. And it could be a little case here, but I don't see why that would be, because MSI, you might have you're a little tired from playing for so long. Here, they should be fresh, practiced, and ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we didn't mention it after game 1. Player of the game went to Huhi. Game 2, though, this one here is going to go to Stixay. Although we did already point out, I know in the replay, a couple missed positions by him, and there were multiple throughout. Then again, it was a game riddled by mistakes. Ultimately, it came down to that final team fight where his DPS was the key.
Yeah, he was able to flash in, pick up a couple kills, and once the carries were dead off his play, the rest of the team can move in and finally close the game out. But the whole game, everyone had good points and bad points, and so, you can kind of take your pick.
Right, you kind of got a sense of it in that interview, too, that both he and Aframu are acutely aware of the fact that that was not a pretty series for them. Yes, they're happy to get the victory. They know there is so much more to go in terms of improvement, and specifically for them as a duo in the bot lane, with Doublelift having been, left the league. Yeah. This is the duo that a lot of people would look at and say, well, they should come in kind of in that #1 slot. We're not really seeing that so far yet this split.
Right, and I think the crazy thing is that the person often most criticized on this team is Huhi, and you can probably say he's their best performing member right now. He had a really good Aurelion Sol game, good Echo game, good Katarina game. He's consistently putting out good performances on things that aren't exactly meta picks, and he's absorbing a lot of bans in the draft. So he's overall in-game and out-of-game doing a lot of good things for CLG.
Yeah, so again, the victory coming in for CLG does move them up to 1-1, so they got their first win here in the split. They're going to be happy about that. Now, EnVy, we cannot forget the fact that this has all been done without their starting jungler, and that's where I want to close, is that we can be as critical as we want, but things are going to change when Lyra finally arrives.
Right, it's kind of almost a throwaway weekend in that sense about what do we learn from EnVy. I think the one thing you can say is that their early game and individual skills seems decent, that they've been able to get leads in the early game and make plays, but they do lack the cohesion in the late game to really get things done. And I expect that hopefully when Lyra comes, their early game continues to stay good, and then they can clean things up a little bit.
Very much so. All right, well, there's still more league action coming up after this break. Team Liquid will face off against FlyQuest, so don't go anywhere.
you guys ever think? Oh my god. Does anyone else think Twitch mods can't stop our thoughts?
Can they ban us all?
Get him, Jake.
Lee Sin went in.
It's on Jake, Jake, go up. Hey, Darshan, come take.
Yeah.
I'll back up right now. I'm one hit.
Cookie will come.
Darshan drop. Who-He right back into the fight. Who-He making more plays. Double kill the mid laner. Xmizzy making more damage. Here comes Alex. Package into the fight. 4 dead. EnVy. They've got themselves a 3 for 4.
Nice, nice.
Nice, you got him. Nice. He goes out.
board.
Oh,
Let's go, Who-He. Who-He. Yeah, I'm coming. Who-He.
Yeah, I can arrow this guy. What's fine? Yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Alright.
Holy shit. I'm ready to.
Alright, dude. Look, this is gonna be a long season, guys.
Wait, actually, don't arrow anymore, dude.
Seraph looking to turn it right back around. Who-He. He doesn't have the damage. Seraph. What in the world? A double on the Haklo. Dredge line on the Ninja 6A. Damage just being funneled into these guys. And ladies and gentlemen, CLG will take game 2.